Hi guys, Foxy here, and this will be part 3 of What If Izuku Was a Vigilante. Now, I know I have been off for a while. That is because of people or my family continuously being in the way. I don't want anyone any of my family members in my videos or being recorded because, one, I don't want you guys hearing our little spits of arguments or conversations. Also, for the entire winter break, my sister and little brother have been continuously coming into the room playing video games, and they don't have headphones to contain the noise, or if they do, they don't use them. So I don't want gunfire going off in the background because, well, I just don't want that in my videos. If you guys want that, fine. But that's why I've been off. I haven't had any time to record because of them. And when I do have time to record, well, it's already late at night and I'm tired. I really am sorry, and right now I am tired, but I really want to get a video out to you guys and explain the situation. But like I said, this is part 3 of What If Izuku Was a Zombie. The last time we left off was when Izuku and Damien were in the little room and Izuku was practically knocked out or in a comatose state. So we are just gonna hop right into this video. So let's get on the road, shall we? Our POV. Damien sat there in shock as his hand glowed with a radiant light. Damien never had quirk, never had power. He was always abused, shoved, and pushed down. He was lesser than dirt than the quirked people walked on. That's what everyone taught him to believe. He didn't believe it, of course. He was too stubborn to believe it. He was too much of a, his mother called him a hard ass, but Damien proudly said, "I'm just a smart cookie who does not break easily." But, yeah. So Damien was completely befuddled as his hand glowed, and the wounds on Izuku started to heal at a rapid rate. The leg somehow put itself together in the right angle. The cuts and bruises disappeared, and the broken bones remended themselves. It was a jarring sight for the man. The glow went away, and the boy looked fine. He looked like a normal kid. Well, as normal as you can get a starving, battered kid to look like. The hair was still caked in blood. The skin was still had remnants of blood, dirt, and gravel. And, well, he was skinny. Bones shone. His face was gaunt. Heavy eye bags lay under them. But the boy reigned a type of aura about him. Had this type of feeling. So when you looked at him, he looked beautiful. A sad type of beauty, which made you want to cuddle and hold him. And for Damien, with his newfound instincts, it was hard for him to control. His, animal brain, to put it more specifically, said for him to protect, to hold, to coddle, to basically hoard Izuku away. Keep him under lock and key, and make sure that Izuku would be okay. But the more logical part of his brain, the one that was him, or the old him, he guessed, but that part of the brain said that he should back up, should get to the other side of the room, not to look like a creepy old man that stares at children all the time. He should try to analyze what happened to him. Probably knock a few screws out while he's at it too. But he just sat there, stunned, as his hand fell to his side like a puppet cut from the strings as he looked at the boy. Minutes go by, and the boy ceases breathing. His quiet huffs of air stop. His chest doesn't rise or fall. His heart doesn't beat. His blood stops running. His skin goes cold and pale. And for a moment, Damien was shocked. The boy just died. Then memories of what happened, the brief moment of pain in his shoulder, then the alleyway, then when the light started to dim and soon cut out for him for a few minutes, then him coming back on like that, like those old TVs, the ones that were big and bulky and really heavy. How they would buzz and glitch out a few times, but soon come back in with a clear picture, while cutting out again a second later, then coming back in, but staying longer. Memories like that went through his mind, how his body reacted. Now the logical part of his brain kicked in, and analyzing the situation. When Damien fell asleep or blacked out, he probably stopped breathing like the kid and became the undead, but in a different way. But the brains of Damien stopped when the boy started to convulse. It looked like he was having a seizure. His body shook, his legs shook like a fawn or a baby deer, unable to move properly, but was still trying, shaking. The boy was gasping now, air coming in short, quick breaths. The boy started to move. Silent screams left his mouth as drool dribbled down. His back arched and something popped and squirmed underneath Izuku. Izuku turned over, and there laid a bony tail. It was long, maybe just as long as Damien's tail, but without the fur or muscle. Instead, it was just a basic bony tail. But spikes adorned the bony tail. They puffed up and up, but went back to calm. Then a second layer out, then down, out and down, out and down. The end of the tail, though, was a bit different. It had these 4 triangles that meet up in one perfect triangle. It looked like a point of a blade, but like one of those spears, actually. The spears with a sharp end to it. But when it opened up, it was a gruesome sight. The 4 triangles opened up like a petal, but inside, the middle was different. It was not like the flowers outside, as the petals peeled back to show the seeds or the middle of the flower. In the middle of this triangle flower was a mouth, or something similar to one. It had 3 sharp-looking teeth that dripped green venom. It hissed. It hissed with some type of sound different from the undead, but couldn't be made by human throats. And the boy seemed to glow, the skin becoming this type of white. It was already pale before, but it seemed to glow with ethereal light. And the boy's green hair that was matted and caked in blood grew longer, curlier, and shone with a different light. The ears that Izuku used to have was now pointy like elf's ears, but didn't stick out. Instead, it was similar to human ears, just pointier and a bit bigger, or longer in this case, maybe. But then something started to happen. Damien could hear bones snapping, then remending themselves. It was in the feet and hands, and the face, or more specifically, in the mouth area and the throat. Damien could see as claws popped out from the boy's hands, like kitten claws. They looked soft and unassuming at first, but when he pressed the right spot, they popped out, showing glistening white claws that could scratch the hell out of you. But instead of scratching the hell out of you, Izuku's claws look like they can tear through skin and bone easily, as they glistened in the light. The nails were black and sharp. The hands, or more like the fingers, grew out a bit, growing longer and looking elegant, looking noble. The fingers weren't so long to look like sausages, for example. Long sausages or sticks. Don't blame Damien, he wasn't too smart in naming things that look like other things. He was not smart in that department. But basically, the hands weren't too bad. They looked pretty good and elegant. The feet were kind of a different story. Claws did pop out of them, but the feet kind of reassembled themselves. It was kind of hard to explain. But the foot it looked the same, but a bit different somehow. The toes were more spread out from each other. It looked like they can claw into the dirt, kind of like talons from a bird. How they can grip into the earth or into anything and have them stay put. The foot didn't look bad, it just looked normal, maybe with a few slight differences, but looked normal enough. But the mouth and the throat were different stories. Damien couldn't see what was happening to the throat, but he could tell something was happening, as unhuman sounds left the boy, screeching or growling like a dog, or bellows of anguish left the boy, with different frequencies that should not be made by a human, different sounds that could not be made from human throats. And once the boy turned over to his back again, opening his mouth wide, Damien could see sharp rows of teeth. They weren't sharp like a shark's, but they were, you could tell they were sharp. They were made to dig into flesh, tear, rip, and grind. The front row of teeth were clearly made to snap and break something apart from the source. Then the middle row of teeth are clearly made to hold and grab, but also shred the meat. The back row were clearly made to grind, to mush, to break bone. The tongue of Zuku was long, kind of like a snake's, but fuller. It was clearly made to sap, to drain someone of blood. But the thing that startled Damien the most is that in the back of the throat, there are these different, things. It looked like new additions to the throat, and Damien could confidently say that they were probably the reasons why so many different sounds were leaving the poor kid's throat. Izuku stopped his shaking, stopped his gasps of air. Now he just lays there, cold sweat billowing down his forehead, down his cheek to his throat, and falling to the bed. His body shook tiny bits in different times, but wasn't to the point of full body shudders. Sometimes in the fingers, sometimes in the toes, other times the legs or the arms. His hair stuck to his forehead, but the boy looked peaceful. Hunger started to grow in Damien's stomach. Then he thought back to the zombies. He wanted to feast, wanted to consume the tiny bits of energy that he got from them from the beginning of the day. He can feel the sensation of power growing in his chest. Damien could feel the hot dribbles of blood oozing past his fingers to the back of his hand. How red blood would coat his hands, his arms, his body, the beautiful color painting a beautiful canvas on the plain streets. How the horrified screams will leave his head in bouts of delightness. How his heart didn't feel like it was being torn apart, sewn back together, and torn apart again. Something in Damien was not right. Something primal, something so animal-like grew and grew within his chest, demanding more and more. Being a greedy little monster, only wanting more. And Damien couldn't handle it. Everything was so new. The smells around him were different. He could smell more pungent odors, but he also can smell hints of fear, or nowadays, lots of fear. Excitement and sadness. He could smell it all, to the slight detail of moods. And how his body felt so weird and wrong and right at the same time. How he could feel everything around him. How the hairs on the back of his head rose. How his blood ran faster, or no, his blood didn't run through his veins anymore. It beat silently, but the heart wasn't supposed to beat so slowly. His blood should be running through his veins. His heart should be beating with a mantra of life. But something was wrong. But Damien was so tired, so hungry. So Damien shut his eyes and let sleeplessness take over him. As the moonlight from the moon shone down on the duo, no longer red but glowing with white light, bathed the two in its light, having their skins glow with ethereal light, how their hair glowed as well. It looked peaceful, looked like two little angels sleeping, waiting for each other. Now this will be ending of part 3. Currently, right now, I am tired, so I'm not going to post this today. But I also have part 1 of What If Izuku Was a Ghost. I am going to also upload that tomorrow. I don't know if I like it. I like it, but I feel like there's something missing from it. but I can't really find it out, and I just don't want it to take so much time. So I'm going to upload part 1 of What If Asuka Was a Ghost and figure out if you guys like it. If you don't, I'm going to delete it, retry it, and upload the new part. Now, you can be completely honest with me. I need honest feedback so I can figure out if I'm doing something right. And please remember to comment because I need your comments to figure out if am I doing the right thing? Am I not? But either way, currently I am exhausted. Sorry, I have a yawn. But please enjoy the video, and I hope you all have a good night or day. Toodles.